Hi everyone, I'm Gaspard. I'm a game designer at Flyos, and today I'm going to walk you through a typical game of Survive Until Daylight. So the first thing that you need to do when you start playing this game is select which character you want to play. Characters each have their own character board, which shows their name, health tracker, and perks. They have two perks, one that is always active during the game and one that is only active when they're the first player. The first player is identified with this token right here. So once you have your character ready, you'll have to create your main Rubble deck. This deck is going to vary depending on the player count. You'll have more cards when you're playing at 6 players and a lot less cards when you're only playing at 2 players. Rubble cards are items and resources that your character is going to gather during a game. These can be weapons, ammo, crafting ingredients, and special cards, and sometimes even red cards. So weapons are used to attack during your turn, attack enemies. Ammo are used with certain weapons to make them deal extra damage. Crafting ingredients can be combined together to create items such as barricades and traps. Special cards can have a lot of different effects. Energy drinks, for example, give you an extra action during your turn. And lucky cards help you redraw a combat card to maybe get a better one and deal extra damage. You also have the red cards in this Rubble deck, which are penalties in general. You might suffer damage or even lose one of your favorite items. Once you're done creating the main Rubble deck, you'll have to draw a certain number of cards from that deck to create a smaller Rubble deck. And in that deck, you'll have to shuffle in the wave card. Players will only draw cards from that deck for this wave, and when one player draws the wave card, they'll have a choice to make. Either suffer 1 damage to reshuffle the wave card in there and get a chance to gather more items and Rubble cards, or accept that the wave of enemies is coming and that they have to prepare for the attack. Once you've drawn the wave card and accepted your fate, you must shuffle the assault cards together and draw one at random. On that card, you'll see the number of enemies of each type that are coming to attack you during this round. Once you have this number, you need to draw cards from each different type of enemy, shuffle them together before placing them in a line in front of you on the table. This is the wave of enemies that are attacking you this wave. Right before the attack, the players can give one of their item to another player. This is called the trade phase. Now the combat phase begins, and players will take turn to either attack enemies with weapons or craft items. In addition, they can use special cards, which do not count as action, so they can use as many of them to increase the damage they make or change the dynamic of the combat a bit. The first player begins, and then another player takes their turn in clockwise order. Once everybody's done with their action, it's up to the enemies to attack. During their turn, remaining enemies will try to attack the player who's drawn the wave card earlier. Here are the different types of enemies you can encounter during a wave. You have wanderers who are kind of weak but still deal significant damage. Then you have raiders who are not zombies, but they will try to steal objects from you if they successfully attack you. Then you have brutes who are way stronger and can endure more damage. And then you have the worst possible thing you can encounter during a wave, a monster. Sometimes during a wave you'll encounter survivors who are really useful because they can absorb the next attack from an enemy that should affect you. Unfortunately, once they do so, they must be discarded and they're basically killed. The combat phase is over, a new round begins, and the first player token must go to the next player to the left. That way, every player gets to use their first player perk once in the game. Then you have to take the remaining Rubble cards from the previous wave, if there are any. Then add a bunch new cards from the main Rubble deck and shuffle the wave card in it. Then a new round can begin. The first player will start by drawing a card from the Rubble deck, then the next player does the same, etc. in clockwise order. until they fall on the wave card and accept their fate. Basically the same thing as the first round, and so on and so forth until the players have gone through the 6 assaults. To win the game, the players must survive the 6 assaults and eliminate every remaining enemy on the table. The game is lost once at least one player has their health tracker reduced to 0 and is then killed. So that's it for the base game, but we also have an expansion pack with a bunch of new stuff in there to make every game feel different, such as new items, new gameplay, new scenarios, such as the duel mode, in which players, instead of working together to survive, will try to fight off each other in a competitive way. So that's it for Survive Until Daylight. Thank you for listening to my explanations, and see you soon!